Welcome everyone to 55 and 5 here on YouTube, and maybe hear this on adfreeshows.com. We are at episode number 30. Cary had a real piece of crap last time, and hopefully this man is of high moral regard that we talk about today.
Let's see who you got for us.
All right. For those that are just joining us for the first time, I set a timer for 5 minutes. Cary and I set out to inform you of the wrestler from the 1955 Parkhurst Wrestling trading card set in 5 minutes or less. This man has the same name twice. So I will show it to the crowd in front of Uncle Gunny, Captain Lou. And this is traditional New Zealand wear. I'll give you that hint. Cary, can you tell me about Kenneth?
Traditional New Zealand wear, huh?
Yes.
Well, I'm going to have to... You sure he's not an Indian?
Yeah, that's what I thought. It might have been Native American as well. It is a traditional, native New Zealand garb.
Well, I'm going to defer, and I will be contacting Bushwhacker Luke tomorrow.
Yeah.
After I hear your notes on Kenneth.
A relatively short career, 47 to 60, but perfect timing for a set like this. Generally regarded as the top star in New Zealand during that time period. He was the NWA New Zealand champion twice, which is pretty interesting. He held the title for, I think, about 8 years the first time.
Really?
So he was well regarded and came to the U.S. on short tours. He went to different places, obviously Toronto being one of his bigger stops. Wrestled a little bit more in Canada. I think I'm inferring that it was the British Commonwealth connection because both were still under the crown. So it would have been easier.
Well, another thing that would have been easier, and one of the reasons, I don't want to interrupt you, but one of the reasons Luke and Butch went from Australia to Montreal, it was much easier, like with a visa.
Yeah.
You know, not that Canada was just, we'll let anybody in, but to just... The paperwork was less, and maybe that's why Kenneth went to Canada, but please go on.
Yeah, and I don't actually have much about him. He had a really cool nickname, though. Probably the coolest nickname out of anybody we've talked about so far. Public Enemy Number 1.
Really?
Yeah, Public Enemy Number 1, Kenneth. So pretty cool. A villain, obviously.
Obviously.
And that title that he held, the NWA New Zealand Championship, still technically active. It's one of the oldest championships in the world. It dates back to 1919. It is a pretty distorted lineage. It seems like lineage. People seem to hold it, and then they forget they're holding it. They strip them and crown a new champion every 10 years or so.
So there's a current champ?
There's a current champ. He's held the title since 1999. Let me get this man's name real quick as we talk about some of the great New Zealand wrestlers. The NWA New Zealand Championship has come up as something that is one of the longest championships that ever existed. NWA New Zealand Heavyweight Championship. I'm bringing it up here. The current champion has held it since November 22nd, 1992. Excuse me. AJ Freely has held it.
And he's still active.
Semi-retired, but still active. He won the title from Bruno Becker. The title apparently has been defended within the last couple of years by AJ, but the championship's interesting. It's been held by Peter Maivia, who was the High Chief, who was the grandfather of The Rock, held by Siva Afi, who had a nice cup of coffee in the WWF. And of course, one of my favorite moments in the history of Madison Square Garden when they announced Superfly was returning and brought out Siva Afi to a massive eruption and then massive boos when the crowd realized it wasn't Snuka. So not much about Kenneth, at least from our perspective. One of the top New Zealand wrestlers at the time, two-time New Zealand champion, and seemed to have a good 13-year career and then seems to rode off into the sunset.
Well, he made it to the Parkhurst people, so he had some kind of impact.
My little toy, the micro brawler?
Of course, it's on my mantle.
I think in 20 years, I'm going to be that guy.
No,
How did this guy get into this set? That's going to be mad.
But it's good to learn this stuff. And I definitely will be asking Luke about not just him, but about Mr. Singh, and some of these other guys.
Yeah.
That, even the big names I need to know more about, because Luke knows Pat O'Connor. And hear how,
Isn't that incredible? There's still, there's links, there's living links.
Right.
I mean, we talked about it with Kurt Simmons, who played under Babe Ruth as a coach. And he's still around. And there's still links to Pat O'Connor. And it blows my mind. We're very fortunate. So this has been episode 30. And it's a name that if you know any more about Kenneth or family member, relative, let us know. There's not a whole lot about Mr. Kenneth on the internet, but we'd love to know more. Please leave it in the comments. Give us a thumbs up. Please hit subscribe. Check us out on Last Stop Penn Station. Go to 55and5.com for all the episodes. It'll keep you up to date on the most current episodes. I'd like to thank Cary, our producer AJ from Bisson Creative and Web Design. I'm Ian Riccoboni. Happy wrestling, everybody. Thanks for joining us.